Do you know a country more paradoxical than Russia? Name one country where, on one hand, it's capable of producing the world's fastest military aircraft, but on the other, 30% of its citizens don't have a toilet at home. On one hand, it presents itself as a defender of traditional values, but on the other, it has the highest divorce rate in the world. On one hand, it's the largest country by area, but on the other, it's constantly waging wars to gain even more land, which it later doesn't know what to do with, leaving vast wastelands and areas of extreme poverty. Name another country that has the third best intelligence service in the world and some of the best hackers, yet on state TV they air such mindless propaganda that it defies comprehension. They criticize the West at every turn, but at the same time send their children to study at Western universities, vacation here, and buy real estate. The funniest thing is, they see nothing wrong with that. Can you name a second country like this? If not, stay with me for a moment, and you'll be surprised by what else you don't know about Russia. Russia, a country that stretches across 2 continents, is full of contrasts, mysteries, and a history that can surprise even the most experienced researchers. Let's start with the fact that Russia is the largest country in the world, occupying over 1/6 of the Earth's land surface. Interestingly, despite its enormous area, its population is mostly concentrated in the European part of the country, while vast areas of Siberia remain practically uninhabited. Siberia, which accounts for over 77% of the country's territory, is home to less than 11% of the population, and in winter, temperatures drop to extreme levels, like in Oymyakon, where the lowest temperature in the northern hemisphere was recorded at -71 degrees Celsius. Siberia is not only a frozen wasteland but also a place rich in natural resources, making Russia one of the largest producers of oil and natural gas in the world. In some regions of Russia, especially in Siberia, sexual tourism is on the rise, particularly targeting wealthy foreign men. Cities like Novosibirsk, Irkutsk, and Vladivostok are hotspots, where not only is sex tourism growing, but also a new phenomenon of brides for export. In recent years, many Russian women have moved to China, marrying Chinese men. This trend is due to gender imbalances in China and the difficulty Chinese men face in finding wives domestically. It's also a result of China's massive exploitation of Russia, which began in 2022. In exchange for military aid, China is exploiting practically everything it can in Siberia, raising concerns among the local population. Despite its size and wealth in natural resources, Russia struggles with enormous social problems, such as corruption that pervades all levels of society, from the lowest administrative ranks to the highest echelons of power. In this country, political life is tightly controlled by the state, and any form of opposition is suppressed. A prime example is Alexei Navalny, one of the loudest critics of the Kremlin, who after a poisoning attempt, was imprisoned, sparking international protests. Despite its harsh domestic policies, Russia is also known for its activities abroad, such as interference in foreign elections, which caused scandals like the 2016 US presidential election. Russia, a country with deeply rooted Orthodox traditions, has one of the most influential churches in the world, which plays a key role in shaping both politics and national identity. Nevertheless, Russia has some of the strictest laws in the world, such as banning same-sex couples from adopting children. The Kremlin, Russia's seat of power, is not only a political center but also a symbol of power, being the largest medieval fortress in the world. Moscow has more billionaires than any other city in the world, even surpassing New York, highlighting the vast social inequalities in the country. Another interesting place in Russia is Park Povyedy, the deepest metro station in the world, located 84 meters underground. Russia is also one of the few countries with secret cities, such as Zheleznogorsk, which are inaccessible to foreigners and don't appear on any maps. In this country, the rights of women and men differ dramatically, especially evident in traditional gender roles. Russia, known for its harsh climate and extreme conditions, is also home to the world's oldest wooden church, dating back to the 16th century, located on Bolshevik Zayatsky Island. Russian literature is also considered some of the most significant in the world, with works by authors like Dostoevsky, Tolstoy, and Pushkin. Another intriguing fact is that in the 19th century, Russian aristocracy often spoke French more than Russian, leading to many Russian novels from that period containing dialogues in French. Russia is also a country where traditions run deep, such as the custom of sitting down before a journey to bring good luck. In Russian cities, it's common to come across statues of Lenin, even though over 30 years have passed since the fall of the Soviet Union. Nevertheless, Soviet influences are still strongly felt in Russia, and nostalgia for those times is widespread. Russia is also known for its incredible ethnic diversity, with over 250 ethnic groups living in the country. Despite its vast resources, many people in Russia live in extreme poverty, with some of the widest social gaps in the world. In this country, access to independent media is very limited, and the government controls most outlets, severely threatening press freedom. Another interesting aspect of Russian culture is the tradition of matryoshkas, wooden dolls that symbolize motherhood and fertility. Russia also has a long-standing tradition of tea drinking, which is one of the most important elements of its culture, with samovars still commonly used. It's also worth mentioning Russian music, especially ballet, which is considered one of the best in the world, with classics like Swan Lake and the Nutcracker by Tchaikovsky. Russia is also a country where many regions enforce a zero-tolerance policy toward alcohol while driving, meaning even the smallest amount of alcohol in your blood can result in the loss of your license. Another controversial issue is human rights in Russia, where prisons are notorious for their brutal conditions, and some, like the Black Dolphin prison, are reserved for the most dangerous criminals. Russia also hosts one of the world's largest hot air balloon festivals, held in Kamyansk-Uralsky. Like many other countries, sports play a huge role in Russia, with one of the most significant sporting events being the 2018 FIFA World Cup, held in Russia. It's also worth mentioning Russian cinema, which despite censorship, has produced many masterpieces, such as the films of Andrei Tarkovsky. Despite its harsh climate, tourism in Russia is flourishing, especially in the Baikal region, home to the world's deepest lake, containing about 20% of the world's surface fresh water. Russia is also one of the largest producers of diamonds, with massive reserves located in Siberia. Despite economic struggles, Moscow is one of the most expensive cities in the world, with life in the capital accessible only to the wealthiest. It's also worth noting that Russia's political tradition, based on authoritarianism, dates back to the Tsarist era, with many features of that system persisting to this day, such as strong centralization of power and restrictions on civil liberties. Russia is also a country where, in the 1990s, after the fall of the Soviet Union, brutal power struggles erupted between oligarchs, leading to massive social inequalities that are still visible today.